Welcome. This is the introductory video to week 4. So I'll be just kind of giving you an introduction to what we're going to do in the course this week. We are going to watch a video by Dr. Martin. There was a little bit of discussion about Dr. Martin's digital narrative course last week on the discussion board. So you will hear her talking a little bit about that. I did send her an email to ask her if she has any plans to teach that online at some point. And I just sent her that email this morning. So I'll let you know later how she responds to that. So basic requirements for this week are watch that video, go to the week 4 discussion board, post at least 1 comment and 2 replies. And I'm also going to have office hours set up for Monday, January 30th from 2 to 3. So, and I'll send an email out as soon as I get everything set up for this week on the Blackboard shell and tell you about that, those office hours. Last Tuesday, Robert came to the office hours. Remember that you're required to do 2 of these for the semester. And those will be 50 points each for attending one of those online office hours. I'm going to keep moving them around. We may have some technology problems, big surprise there, but we'll probably be able to work through them. Just a little bit of instruction here on the online office hours. Go to the navigation bar on the left-hand side of Blackboard, and you will be able to click on online office hours. That should get you into the screen. And when you are into the screen, you may need to, you'll see icons. I think they're down at the bottom left, a video icon and a microphone icon. So when you want to share your video, open up that icon, you just click on it, and I think you have to, a little window is going to pop up, and you hit a radial button to say that you're going to allow video to be shown. We'd like your video to be shown the whole time. If you're listening and not asking questions, and there's a lot of background noise in wherever you're logging on, and you want to mute the microphone when you aren't speaking, that's okay. You can do that. So if you're not coming through, look for those icons. You may need to open up the video, open up the audio. Some of you may be wearing earbuds and a microphone. That usually helps. When Robert came in last week, he had a little trouble getting that to work. So if you're not coming through, we may need you to just kind of pull out the earbuds, and then it may work when it wasn't working. So again, office hours, January 30th, Monday, 2 to 3. Couple of other points that I wanted to make. Activity on the discussion board. It seems like it's been a little irregular for some people. I know there have been problems with Blackboard. I'm assuming those are all taken care of now. I'm going to send out an email with the class listserv, which doesn't go through Blackboard. It just goes through the email system. And ask again if you're having problems. If you're not having problems, you don't need to reply. But if you are having problems, then let me know, and we'll see if we can get those figured out. There's not a whole lot of reading and writing with this course, so I do expect some activity on the discussion board, and I'm keeping notes on who's posting for that week. So after this week, I'm going to be more have more accountability for your activity on the discussion board. And this is something I can track with the analytics in Blackboard. So one of the good things about Blackboard is that when you're active on the website and on the discussion board. I can see that in terms of the analytics, but I'm also keeping some of my own notes as well. And I wanted to make just a quick comment about when I'm reading all of the posts on the discussion board. I'm not responding to every post, and you shouldn't think that you have to respond to every post also. I do hope that you read them all, and you can certainly post more than once and you can reply more than once, but I think that's the bare minimum that I will expect you to do. The reason I don't reply to every post is, well, it's unnecessary for one thing, but also I want to have, as we have had, more discussion where you guys are talking to each other rather than just a sort of a one-way dialogue between you and me. So for that kind of discussion to evolve, it's real important that I don't respond to every single post. Couple of other quick things. Mentioned in the video with Dr. Martin, this was recorded about a year ago, so when she says things like in the spring, that wasn't this spring. You will see Tanner Sullivan, who is one of our undergrad students, and he works in the Writing Center. Some of you might know Tanner Sullivan. He's a real interesting guy. He's just started a raccoon club. In case you don't know, there are a number of raccoons on campus, and some of the people in the department, including Dr. Robertson, have had interesting encounters with raccoons. So Tanner has taken it on himself to form a raccoon club, and if you're interested in joining the raccoon club, I'll try and find out some information for you on that. I also wanted to mention that Dr. LaPlantiniere mentions editing a journal. The journal she's talking about is the Journal for Writing Program Administration. It's one of the most important journals in our field, and that's a journal edited on this campus in this department. And we sometimes have interns or GA positions if you're a graduate, later a graduate student, for helping to edit that journal. But I wanted you to know that within our department, we do have a number of people who are very active in major projects like this. In fact, most of our faculty are. I also wanted to just real briefly comment on the current issue of creative nonfiction, which just came out. I've only read about 2 of the articles in the journal, and I'll hold it up so you can see what it, there we go. Okay, so you'll notice that the topic, the theme for this journal is joy. So they're writing, people are writing, I've only read 2 of the articles, but people are basically writing about the joy of writing. I was just going to make a couple of real quick comments on what I've read so far, but I may in coming weeks make some other comments about other things that appear there. One of the articles talks about a person went to a creative nonfiction journal, and there was a little bell on every seat. And then the author got up and started speaking. He said, hold the bell in your fist as tightly as you can, and then shake your fist. And as you can imagine, the bell is not going to ring. And then he said, okay, hold the bell loosely, and now shake it. And of course, then the bell rang. And then he went on and talked about how being relaxed when you're writing is part of making writing work. And so, just a good message there, that part of when we're struggling with writing is we're just trying to make it too hard, and try and find ways of just relaxing with it. And that might be, changing where you write, or changing your mind frame about how writing is, or not worrying so much about how it's going to be evaluated, or whether or not it's going to be accepted. Part of learning to be an effective writer, especially if you're going to be publishing, is learning to deal with rejection. And I'll just quickly mention what my week has been like. Uh, Beginning of the week, I journal article that I had submitted to River Teeth Nonfiction Journal was rejected. Does this mean that it's not a good article? Not necessarily, but I am going to go back and revise the article and then find another place to send it out. Sometimes when articles or things that we submit for publication are rejected, it's quite often because it doesn't fit into what the journal is doing. So creative nonfiction, the current issue, the theme is joy. They have many journals do themes like that. And those themes may be mapped out like 2 years in advance. And so you submit something and it doesn't fit into one of those themes. It might be a really good article, but they're going to reject it because it doesn't fit in. So that may have been the case, or it may have been the case that what I wrote is severely flawed and it needs to be revised. I will be looking at that and resubmitting. That's part of the process. Now, later in the week, just 2 days ago, I also heard that an article that I wrote on the ethics of creative nonfiction will be accepted as the chapter for a book on ethical criticism. And that's an article I've been thinking about for a long time, but I actually wrote fairly quickly in about 6 days or so. And the editor asked for virtually no revisions. So sometimes you have a good experience like that, and sometimes you get a rejection, and you have to figure out what the rejection means and how you're going to deal with that and move on. One of the things I'll mention real quickly, I mentioned before that Cara Brookins, who was one of our majors, has a book coming out. I actually think it's released now. I'm going to check and to see whether or not it's been released. But it's called Rise, R-I-S-E. It's about her and her family building their own home as kind of a way of moving past being in an abusive relationship. And one of the things that Cara one time said to me when she was getting ready to start marketing one of her novels is, I'm going to try and get 100 rejections. That's an interesting mind frame, but I think it's one that's pretty productive. So if you realize that every time you get a rejection, you may get some feedback and you may be able to make that novel or nonfiction piece or memoir or scholarly article or whatever it is better. That's part of the process. Okay, I think that's all I need to talk about. So if you have any questions, send me an email and I'll see you online. Have a good week.